Every now and again in sports, something so fantastic happens that it makes all of the previous watching well worth it. And this past weekend, Nico Hulkenberg, after over 200 races, stepped on the podium for the first time in his Formula One career. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all good vibes here for episode 183 of the Eating Asphalt podcast. Yeah, listen. Lando wins. McLaren won too, right? That's all great. Oh, great. We've heard that before.
Yeah,
Nico Hulkenberg on the podium is where all of the attention in the world is and should be. This man deserves it more than anybody. What is it, 239 races?
that's right.
Uh, I mean, unbelievable performance. The time we'll get into everything, of course, but like this, it was just like I cry really easily. Everybody knows. And well, like with 6 laps left, 6 to 8 laps left, Lewis was chasing, was kind of like closing the gap at around like half a second to a second per lap, and I was getting nervous and tense and realizing like this is what makes it worth it. This is what makes it when you have your 5 a.m. Bahrain Grand Prix where there's like 4 or 5 passes, or there's like a Barcelona that's like wakes you up really early. You watch that so that you can build up the equity for moments like this past weekend, and we got it. It delivered one of the best races that I can remember in recent memory.
Yeah, I mean, so many aspects throughout. But like you said, at the very end, as a Ferrari fan, I was rooting for Nico to take that podium over Lewis. As much as I was like, kind of like, I'll win, if Lewis does, like, hey, that fight, great. But yeah, like as a Ferrari fan, even that, I was like, dude, I would love to see this man because I don't think anyone probably expected that to ever happen, especially in the car that he has been in. He's been on
Absolutely.
a tear, dude.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Qualifying 19, getting up to the podium. Like, I mean, I hate to say I told you so, everyone, but I did say last week on my TikTok take, put Nico Hulkenberg on the Red Bull spot. If there was ever a time to do it, it's when he makes a podium finish and can show that he has like, he's got a lot left, like a lot of life left in him. And a weekend where we'll talk about Yuki Tsunoda's performance as usual, as we usually do, I mean, like on this podcast. But let's get right into it and get this episode going. We have our hot lap recap and TikTok takes by Marco. I'll get into our who ate and who ate asphalt, and we'll finish with our gambling predictions recap. But let's get right into it. Marco, why don't you give us a hot lap recap?
All right. Our hot lap recap. Let's actually start off a little bit on Friday for a quick foreshadowing of things that you shouldn't get your hopes up for. First off, Max was showing moments where he was basically unable to turn the steering wheel. On top of that, the unofficial rumors of Max confirmed in the Mercedes seat for 2026 made Thursday and Friday one of the more talked about free practice sessions to date. On top of that, the Ferrari boys looked very promising with both taking a P1 and a top three over the 3 sessions. So again, you're going into this weekend thinking Max, yikes, gone, car is terrible. Ferrari boys, they figured it out. Everything's going. And then we move on to Saturday. So we're not a lot of surprises happening in Q1, Q2, other than Carlos finally, I think this is number 2 this year of beating his teammate Alex Albon, but both being knocked out in Q2, along with Yuki Tsunoda continuing to struggle with the P12 finish. Q3 was quite the opposite, with Ollie Behrman making it up to the top 10, in fact, finishing P8. But it had a 10 place grid penalty for a red flag infringement. On top of that, both Ferraris didn't live up to their expectation of finishing P5 and P6. This was also including everyone's last lap. Lewis was holding 2 purple sectors in sectors 1 and 2, only for him to finish P5. And then Max had his final lap right after him, took those purple sectors away. But when you're going into the final sector and seeing 2 purples, you got to assume that that's going to be a top 3 at the worst. And it wasn't. Speaking of Max, though, the car whisperer himself was able to get his car from barely able to move to getting pole with over a tenth of a second over the McLaren drivers. Let's move on to Sunday, where you can't have a British Grand Prix weekend without some rain. This confusing rain scenario before the start of the race caused both George and Charles to go into the pits and switch to slicks, potentially saving them from a pit stop later in the race. Another false foreshadow, as it seems like their teams just didn't check the weather radars or had very old weather radars, maybe like a cup that was capturing the rain. because it did not work for either of them at all. We didn't make it a full lap until Liam Lawson's day was over with a run in on Esteban Ocon. 3 laps later, Bortoleto spins out of his own doing, ending his race. Then in lap 8, Piastri was able to hunt down Max, take the lead of the race. We got lap 11. The rain starts coming down heavy again, and Max drops another place to Lando after slipping off the track. But this was only for a moment as Max regains it back after a pit stop blunder from the McLaren team. This is only 11 laps in. We had some lovely battles in between with ex-teammates George and Lewis, only to have another rookie end his day early in lap 18 with Mr. Isaac Hadjar. The safety car led to a very, very hot discussion topic, which I'm sure we will talk about around the F1 world. As the safety car was ending, Oscar Piastri decided to slam on the brakes, watching Max whiz by him. This move ended up costing him an insane 10-second penalty. This didn't benefit Max from his side as he spins out immediately after the restart and drops 7 spots. Then there's another rookie blunder as the two Haas cars make contact and spin off the tracks on lap 44. He still managed to be the only rookie to finish, he being Ollie Behrman, being the only rookie to finish this race. Tough for the rookies. All this craziness, and we get to the final 17 laps of the race where it's all but locked up for a McLaren 1-2 finish. But what everyone was actually glued to is who will be standing there up on the podium with them. To everyone's surprise, Nico Hulkenberg, the man who went 239 race starts without a podium, was able to hold off the likes of Sir Lewis Hamilton and make history. Even with this fairy tale ending, Team McLaren decides to make him feel like Steven Glansberg and celebrate on the podium by himself. All right, let's move on to our race recap, to our TikTok takes. All right, my TikTok take is going to be, obviously I mentioned earlier that Max Verstappen is potentially planning to leave Mercedes. My take is I don't think Max Verstappen actually wants to leave to go to Mercedes. I think he hates George so much that he's willing to sacrifice that move to make him show dominance and be like, George, you're out of a job, buddy. And I think that's the most Max Verstappen thing I can ever think of.
Yeah. He doesn't have to win. He just has to see George lose.
Yeah. He's like, I will risk like finishing my career off at Red Bull like I've always wanted to do because you have pissed me off last year. You pissed me off this year, and I'm going to take you out of your job, and hopefully you're driving for Williams next year.
His goal is, yeah, it's not about racing's not about finishing first. It's about crushing your enemies.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what-
I think he showed, he was like, at the end, he's don't like the guy, never liked the guy. And he's showing him like, hey, I have dominance over you. They want me substantially more than they want you, and I'm kicking you out of a job. So I think this whole thing is more of a spite move, more over anything else.
It's kind of like why he's being so nice to Kimi Antonelli. Like he gets
Mm-hmm.
crashed out. He realizes it's Kimi and he's like, oh, well, he's a rookie driver. You know, everyone makes mistakes. You can't get mad at somebody just because they make a mistake. If George Russell crashed him out last weekend in Austria, he would have probably thrown his steering wheel at George's head.
Yeah, I mean that on top of this is all within the last 2 weeks. Max Kimmy helping him with the toe, and he's like, "Dude, I gotta get positive with this guy. We're boys." So yeah, yeah, definitely sucking up to that. I'm sure Kimmy's probably like the divorced parent, where it's like, "Hey, my one parent right now that I'm currently spending a ton of time with, uh, kind of awkward because the really cool parent that just showed up in the cool car that's giving me all these cool presents that I'm probably going to be spending a lot more time with is now coming into the picture."
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, I'll buy it. Sold.
And let's move on from our TikTok takes to our who ate and who ate asphalt.
All right, let's talk about winners and losers, or more specifically, who ate and who ate asphalt. Should we start positive or negative, Marco? You tell me.
Hmm. Let's go positive. Great weekend. Let's
I
start
like
off with the
that.
positive. Yeah.
Let's do it. I mean, we've already talked about it. Let's just ease into this. Who ate? Nico Hulkenberg ate. Nico Hulkenberg ate. He mukbanged, basically. He just absolutely consumed the weekend. Perfect demonstration of why you need to watch racing. Perfect demonstration of why the criticisms are of Formula One and of racing are completely baseless sometimes. We're sure it's just one team that dominates everything. Yeah, you mentioned it. Like when the worst part of your weekend is that people aren't spraying you with champagne. I think that is a pretty good sign. And on top of the podium. I think people were like, "Oh, like he's not getting sprayed." I'm like, "Hey, guess what I'm positive about is that he does not care. He is very happy just to be on that podium." And yeah, definitely, one of, I mean, I think maybe like Sergio Perez winning in the Sakir Grand Prix in 20, what was that, 2021 maybe? Like, I think that's probably up there, or 2020, like that's probably up there as like one of the coolest moments that I've seen. But like in recent memory, this was it. We're taking that with us for a long time. Thanks, Nico.
Yeah, I would beg to differ. I bet he would have enjoyed people celebrating with him on the top of the podium. Maybe, who knows? But I will say on the side of Nico, he has more points in the last four Grand Prix than the entire Red Bull team. 31 points, Nico Hulkenberg last four races. 29 Red Bull, not RB, Red Bull.
Maybe someone should have a take that he can, or he should get that second Red Bull seat.
Dude, I mean, I think they're maybe going to have two Red Bull seats available soon enough. I don't know.
Who else ate? Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll. Huh? What? No. P6 and P7 respectively, back of the boys at the back of the grid typically, but they were ripping this weekend. Everything kind of seemed to be falling their way. Got some strategy decisions right. Not the fastest cars, but I think probably extracted the absolute most out of this weekend. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is probably the best they'll finish this season. So they really need to soak it all in. But you got to give credit where credit's due. And right now, credit is due to Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll.
Yeah, I can only imagine what Lance would have finished if he didn't, quote unquote, have the worst fucking car he's ever fucking driven in his fucking life.
It's like
End quote.
unbelievable piece of shit. Total piece of
Yeah.
shit.
Hey, dude, he got P7. He's like, this fucking car sucks. All right, I'll see you later.
And then yeah, I mean overall this is sort of secondary, but I think just like McLaren, another one too. It is expected at this point, just with the kind of pace that McLaren has, like getting a double podium, but just getting the 1-2s where the drama that McLaren have right now, and we'll talk about it in Who Ate Asphalt, is like, drivers being a little bit immature. So, just another hat tip to McLaren, tip my McLaren hat to McLaren. And let's talk about that actually. Go into our, any other people who ate actually before I go into Ate Asphalt?
Yeah, it's kind of a on top of the Hulkenberg situation, but K-Mag being at Hulk's guest of all weekends was
Yeah.
absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Foes turned great friends, and him to be there to watch that happen. Maybe a good luck charm. Let's get him back in the garage. Let's get him around again. That was a fun sight to see.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, yep, that does it for my 8.
Perfect. Now, who ate asphalt? Let's get Oscar Piastri out of the way here. Asking his team when he get a 10-second penalty to make Lando drop back and have them race is stuff that you would expect from. I didn't even know if you'd expect that from Max Verstappen. Like that's just baby level stuff where it's like, hey, I feel like something's unfair. You have to rectify it. It's your problem now. So make it happen. Like I wish the race engineer pressed him harder when he asked that to be like, hey, wait, sorry, Oscar, like what do you want us to do? Like you want us to ask Lando to slow down? How do you want us to word that to Lando? Like like it's ridiculous. How would you feel if someone were like, hey, can you just lose 6 seconds real quick off of your pace and just race your teammate? Um, I will say like the one positive thing is that we did see some like big emotion out of Oscar Piastri, the Gen Z kid who doesn't have any emotion. We saw it positive or negative. It was just good to see.
Yeah, I think a couple things to take from this. I kind of agree with you when he asked the engineer, just be like, you know what, we just plugged you into Lando's radio. You have to ask him yourself,
Yeah,
actually, and make him do it if he really wants to do it. Let's have that conversation, but we're not going to pass along this information. And two, yeah, I think that this, again, like we said, like Oscar Piastri, Gen Z mentality doesn't care, but I feel like this move is also part Gen Z mentality where, you know, the quiet quitting, the like, I have a sick day because I feel a little sad. Like, I feel like this is kind of like the woe is me. Like, this isn't fair. Give me what I deserve. This isn't fair. So, like, I think, you get well, we've seen most of the positives of the Gen Z when it comes to Oscar Piastri and his races. There does come with some negatives. And I
I
think
feel
this is
like
part of the negatives.
we're like the we're older than millennials right now, being like, whatever Oscar does is he's just Gen Z. He's if he's
That's just you were find a bucket and it'll fall in there.
oh, he's eating a pretzel. Well, Gen Z ass thing to do to
Nice.
eat the pretzel like that. Classic.
Nice.
Who else ate asphalt? Let's get Yuki out of the way. P12 in qualifying, dead last finisher with the penalty. I know this is common topic between us when we have our conversations, but during his post-race interview, that was a guy who looked like he had just been told, like, "Hey, man, that's the last straw. We know we don't have the fastest car on the grid, but we have faster than consistently getting out in Q3. We have faster than consistently not scoring points." He was a lot faster in the Racing Bull. I think we found out like where Yuki peaked. He's a guy that peaked in high school, put him back in his high school car, which is that Racing Bull. Just seemed to be it's like sad. It makes me sad to see Yuki in this state where he gets these interviews and you're just like, hey man, stop interviewing him. He's obviously sad and frustrated and doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, I agree that we are one of the few podcasts that actually kind of bring this up, but the amount of like hate and like push to get that driver out of that seat prior to Yuki, whether it be Liam or Sergio the last 2 years, was so extreme. I don't think I hear many people being like, hey, what is Yuki doing? Like, what has he done to deserve it? Like, no one's putting this pressure on like these last two drivers got. So I'm kind of confused if it was just like, hey, this guy's so likable, or they're realizing, hey, it doesn't matter who you put in there. Let's just drop it at this, I guess. But I mean, I just feel like the conversation and the success or the lack of success between all these drivers and Yuki's kind of sneaking out of here without like too much pressure on him.
He is skating, yeah, just flying under the radar a little bit, being like,
Yeah.
well, there's a lot of other action. Why would you pay attention to me all the way back here in P
Yeah, I do
17?
miss like thinking about it though. It's been a while that like Yuki used to have all those fun, off the track, like him being goofy, those conversations, those fun little driver like challenges. That does not happen anymore.
No, we're seeing a broken man, a broken
Yeah.
little man.
Yeah.
Uh, Speaking of broken people, Franco Colapinto, my last person who ate asphalt here, didn't even get to race after smacking into the wall in qualifying. Marco, I'm not sure what your geopolitical awareness is, but are you aware of the conflict between Argentina and England?
Currently?
Yeah, well, always, since like the 80s.
Yeah, I know the soccer teams don't like each other.
Not so much the soccer teams. There is a big mix up over the Falkland Islands, which are some islands off of Argentina. Argentina claims them as Argentine. England claims them as English. The people in the Falkland Islands claim to be English. That really makes the Argentine people mad. There's always been this beef for the last like 30, 40 years
Mm.
between Argentina and England. So I am not counting out the possibility of the British Grand Prix officials screwing over Colapinto at a distance. It's not something I can prove, but those sneaky Brits, I'm positive that the government from England sabotage Franco Colapinto. Maybe a little grease on the track, maybe a little
Mm.
on the screwdriver on the car.
Just the one
So somehow,
screwdriver.
I don't know. Again, I can't prove it, which is
Mm.
frustrating, but I know it happened, and no one's going to tell me differently.
I do like that idea because what I was thinking, different circumstance, but British, again, I thought that Oscar Piastri penalty was atrocious for it to be 10 seconds. Do you think British going, oh, Lando Norris, we love this guy, British, 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 Oscar Piastri, not British. Let's get this guy a win at his home Grand Prix.
I do think the people in England always go British, British, British.
British, British, British.
All right, who else ate asphalt from your view?
All right, who else ate asphalt? George Russell talked about it a little bit, but I thought it was very entertaining. His second attempt to do the change it up, go slicks. He was like, "Hey, how brave do we want to be?" Engineer gets back to him. He says, uh, "Let's be brave, but not suicidal." Kind of went suicidal. Switched early, and then within the first lap was spinning multiple times. So that was a pretty tough look, but very entertaining. George had a tough weekend.
Triple spin, right? I think he went around
Mm-hmm.
3 times. It was like that.
Yeah.
At some point, it turns into like you go from being like really mad you're spinning to like this is kind of fun. I bet.
Yeah. The other one that we kind of talked about a little bit, McLaren crew and the McLaren team, like drivers, basically being the only group not to openly congratulate Nico. Here's my take. I feel like they were all pretty annoyed that he took all their spotlight. And they were like, dude, I don't want to, like, this isn't cool. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
what else. Like, everyone seems to love this man. I saw another thing. I know I said this last week, Fernando Alonso being a top five driver. I saw people saying Nico Hulkenberg, top five driver. We only got three more spots left. Seems like a lot of good drivers to fit in there, but I don't know. But yeah, that's my only like way. I don't think he's a bad dude. I don't see why any connection to McLaren, why the McLaren team or any of the drivers would be like, screw that guy.
Yeah, I don't know. But I guess if I'm a McLaren fan, I don't like Nico. I can't do that. I can't do
You know, yeah, you have to, dude.
that.
My last one is going to be steak. Obviously, congrats to Nico, but them having only two champagne bottles to celebrate, and then having Mercedes and Aston Martin donate champagne bottles for them to celebrate. Honestly, to be honest, I put this on my Ate Asphalt, but I'm surprised I kept around two champagne bottles in the first place. This must have been really old champagne bottles.
Yeah, I that is hilarious. Being like, hey, anybody about like who had to go over and ask, Give me that
Yeah,
drama.
it's just like, hey, you guys aren't celebrating, right? You guys didn't do that. Can we borrow those?
Yeah, Mercedes, you guys had like really, really bad race, right? Horrible
Yeah,
race. You're really mad. Do you want me to take those off your hand for you?
yeah. I owe you later. Next time we win a podium, we'll bring more and bring them back to you.
All right. Anybody else? Or are we moving on to gambling predictions and race recap?
Let's do it.
All right.
But before we get to our gambling predictions recap, this part of the podcast is brought to you by the Trophy Assemblers Guild of the United Kingdom, where we here at the Trophy Assemblers Guild take our job extremely serious. We made this country's and the world's most memorable trophies over the past 200 years. We've worked effortlessly to create the Premier League trophy, the FA Cup. We've worked tooth and nail to make the beautiful Claret Jug and the Ryder Cup. We used to walk into pubs and command respect from the whole village. People would cheer when we'd walk into common places like the dentist's office. No, just kidding. Everyone knows there's no such thing as the dentist's office in the UK. But seriously, this used to be something that deemed respect. Now we're starting to see our jobs get taken away by little kids and nerds making trophies out of Legos. We loved the car Lego idea. It was fresh, entertaining, but this is where we draw the line. There will be, I mean, what's next? There's going to be Lego drivers. When will this madness stop? We here at the Trophies Assemblers Guild beg the F1 fans to make a stand on this atrocity. Let's go back to the good old days. Let's bring back smoking cigarettes on airplanes. Bring back kids working in mines to get the small spots that no one could get to. And most importantly, bring back actual silver and gold trophies, not trophy toys.
Somebody had to say it. All right, let's get into our gambling predictions recap. I, being a smart gambler, didn't gamble. So I am still down 7 and 15 on the season. And I'm down negative 6.09 units. Marco.
Me, I'm not a coward. No matter how bad things are, I will not be a coward. And I feel I can sleep well at night. I wish, honestly, I wish I missed all my bets because I still would have been like, I am happy I did it. Unfortunately, I didn't. Haha. Charles top three didn't hit there, but George not in the top three, minus 175, 2 units there. Go with the 2 unit special. That means I did make 0.15 units this last weekend. 1-1. I'm back going in the right directions. This is exactly what I needed. This is why you continue to gamble. Even the little wins are wins. And I'm gonna keep this train rolling.
Good for you. Well done, Marco.
Thank you.
Well, I think we have a bit of a break here between now and our next race. So we appreciate everybody for listening. Enjoy this like half summer break, half not kind of. We'll see you at the end of July. But yeah, I appreciate everybody for listening. We'll see you next time.
See you.
See you, assholes.